Yes.
So 3 maximums.
We've just heard the newly appointed Chief Minister re-elected Chief Minister, we can say, sorry for that, presenting the budget, and with us to discuss that are our guests, friends of mine, Siddharth Kunkolekar from the BJP. Siddharth, welcome.
Namaskar.
Vinayak Domatkar from GCCI. Vinayak, welcome. And Kirit Maganlal from CII. Welcome. Now, I would like to start with you, Siddharth. I know, then let the experts dissect the budget. But first, we'll start with you, since you are from the, you are a BJP, one of the senior leaders from the BJP, former MLA of Panjim. Siddharth, yes, please.
I was listening to the budget, and it's a very youthful, balanced, reforms-oriented, Swayambhurna budget. I think this budget is covering the entire gamut of the society, right from the students who have got good computer labs, schools upgradation, from teachers recruitment to robotics courses, to youth who have got infrastructure push, the industry, the export mission, the sports, the trekking, camping. The farmers have got substantial gains. They've got 3 lakh loans at 0% interest, and there are various things, right from the VRS scheme that was announced for the government servants, the new pension scheme, the pension for the journalist, the art and culture, heritage. I think this budget touches all the aspects of our economy. And I think it's a very balanced, youthful, and reforms-oriented budget.
You forgot no new taxes.
Yes, of course. The new taxes are not there. It is we have retained, and we are doing good with the present set of taxes. But definitely, there is very little scope to increase taxes nowadays in view of the new GST regime.
That's also true. Kirit, you've been, besides being a part of CII, you're a very senior businessman. What do you feel purely from the business, and you represent CII also here?
So I would say presenting a budget is never a very easy task. It's a balance that the Chief Minister or the Finance Minister has to play every year. And I'm very happy to say that CII has made a number of recommendations to the state government, pre-budget recommendations, and the government has had a very open ear to it. And from the initial budget that we have seen right now, I understand that the Chief Minister has taken up a number of them quite seriously. He has given due attention to industry, he has given due attention to agriculture, he has given due attention to pharma and medical sectors. This, I think, is very, very important. We still have to dissect the budget further to understand the implications and intricacies. But overall, I think it's been a good effort that has been made. Having a budget like this, Glenn, it's like playing your cricket match. Either you have a T20 or you go in for the long format. The T20 gives you instant nirvana. It's a quick fix, high energy kind of a solution. But at the end of it, it harms both the stakeholders and the essence of the game. The long format is something that I think is an important part to retain the essence of finance and budgeting. And right now, Chief Minister has got a 5-year mandate to enter into the long format. So I think this is a good beginning for him.
Thanks, Kirit. Now, Vinayak, not only do you represent GCCI, you are also a chartered accountant. Yeah. So you can give us a little more the details, few details, how you feel this will pan out, how much of it can be implemented, and what possibly we could do. General initially, then we get into more details.
Yes, Glenn Bob. I've gone through the detail, but whatever we have understood from the gist of the budget, what our CM has presented today, first let me congratulate him, because we were all expecting a budget to be a very populist kind of a budget. But having gone through the gist of the budget, it looks like a very thoughtful and a visionary budget, where we are looking at Goa another 25 years from here on. But having said that, we were expecting more on taxes front, because he said that there are no changes in the taxes. But having understood the economy, Goan economy, which relies more on this two industries of mining, tourism, and the other side is relying more on the grants and aids coming from the center. But last 2 years, our economy has been badly hit because of COVID. Mining has stopped, and tourism because of COVID has virtually stopped for last 2 years. Now it is booming again. A loss of 1,000 to 2,000 crores because of mining closure, and our employment Goan youngsters direct relying on the tourism, direct impact on the industry is 35%. Our youth is directly employed over there. But we were expecting something on this but that we did not see. We are expecting something more from the government on that front. As far as the economic recovery is concerned, the green shoots, what we say, the tapping of those green shoots we did not see in this budget. To be more precise, we were expecting something on the SEZs, because there are altogether 6 to 7 SEZs which are actually officially on paper.
They're just shut. Yeah.
They are just shut, and they are on paper. They have not been operational as of now. That is silent. The more important part on this budget, I would say as a chartered accountant, is to really dissect and understand how are we going to come out from the deep debt what the Goa government is going under. A budget of 20,000 crore. Out of that, we are having a equal budget outstanding of 20,000 crore. It's really enormous. And a population of around 15 lakhs. That on per head of every Goan, if you just calculate it, it's like 2 lakh per Goan what we are going to see in future. It's enormous. So on that front, how is the government going to tap? How is the Goa government going to bring in some austerity measures to tap this deficit? That we would like to see, and I'm sure with able leadership of Dr. Pramod Sawant, this measures will definitely come in.
Actually, just to interrupt you on this loan thing, now the Goa is basically very prosperous compared to the highest annual income and lots of this. It's pretty developed. People who, I mean, like, it's developed. Let's not get into more details.
Much better than the rest of the country.
Yes, it's much better in many ways as a state. Now, also we have got, besides you spoke about mining and you spoke about tourism, you've forgotten about pharma. We are huge in pharma, and tourism has got various. There's not only what we talk about tourism, hotels, restaurants, service industry is very big. This Kirit is there right here with us. All these things, if we take into consideration, probably, I don't know, and there are, of course, the more you get, the more you always want, as industry has always wanted ease of doing it. But that way, how you feel, we can cut down this and by taking into, so very prosperous through COVID and all, pharma did, I think, probably better than most other industry through COVID. So that they also have to give something back, no?
Glenn Bob, I truly agree with you what you have said. You are on the right track. But if you really want to understand this, what is my opinion is that our economy, Goan economy, is divided into 3 sectors. Any industry is divided into 3 sectors: your primary, secondary, and the tertiary.
Yes.
But our primary sector accounts for only 6 to 7% of the economy. 33%, 35% accounts for the secondary sector, and the balance 35% to the tertiary sector. But as our CM today said, it is growing at a rate of 6 to 7%. If you say 7.07, no, that's the CAGR.
Okay.
But the primary sector is growing at a rate of not even 6, it's growing at 4%, which is our. This is
primary. You're talking about
farming, fishing,
industry. Okay.
That should grow. That the more concentration should be how do we grow our primary sector. So सगळं impetus आम्ही दितलो, but is it really reaching the end receiver? This is the moot question.
Okay, before I go to Siddharth, and then I know there are a lot of schemes for agriculture. There are a lot of schemes for lots of things in the primary sector. But as far as we can see, because lots of stories come to us, it does not really reach. And it's such a pain to go to the agriculture department. You go one thing, Money is there, but half of the times the farmers don't know where you go to the money. And if you go there, okay, pale. We have tried it. I have myself gone and seen in the agriculture department. So that is one thing. Now this is, it becomes a political question. Implementation on the ground. Siddharth, I'll bring
Yeah,
see, everything is there. My point is everything is there. How will it reach down here?
Yeah, that's what I'll come to that. I mean, he raised, my friend at GCCI, Mr. Dumatkar, raised a question about SEZ land. And I think the government is in possession after the court intervention.
Yes.
Because Congress had bestowed almost 40 lakh square meters of prime Goa's land to fixers, basically. And this land has come back to the government. Government is definitely taking steps to allot it back to the industry. And you said about the pharma industry. I'm also, of the same opinion. The pharma industry, the major pharma players are here in Goa.
Yes.
And Goa has become an export hub. Yes. It is not anyone catering to the local industry, local demand. It is catering to the world demand. And I think definitely the government is considering the allotment of this SEZ land to the industries so that the expansions takes place of the existing players plus new entrants come in so that employment potential is fully explored. As regards to even the primary sector, like the farming, I can proudly say that the Kamdenu scheme, the revised Kamdenu scheme which Mr. Parikar has introduced and which Dr. Pramod Sawant continued with full zest, I think it is producing results today. Goa was milk deficient to a very big extent.
Yes,
today we have reached almost a lakh of liter per day production. Yes. In fact, the horticultural crops like the mirchi or the other vegetables, we are now sending it back to Belgaum or Kolhapur markets. Of course, the potatoes, the onions will not grow in Goa, but definitely the horticultural crops have taken a lift, and this is because of the policies and the loans. I'm very proud to say Goa is giving the maximum number of schemes to farmers.
That's my point.
In the country the farmers are,
point. That is exactly my point.
And I think even I will beg to differ with your view.
Okay.
There may be some bad apples in the department, but many of the ZAOs, the agricultural officers, zonal agriculture officers, they are working overtime to reach out to farmers.
Fair enough. Kirit, I'll bring you onto the service specially. I think this becomes a continuation because you also deal with most of the products that we are talking about. Yeah, then I'll just put in a little bit more. Yeah, Kirit.
Yeah, so let me just touch on these two very important sectors that you discussed earlier. One was agriculture and the other was pharma. Okay, this is the area where we have to give a lot of thrust. I agree with you. See, an industry like pharma, just giving them extra land and extra facilities really will not help.
Absolutely.
Because like
That's
how Siddharth just mentioned, we are doing a majority of our stuff is exported out of the country. So your logistics has to be absolutely in place. And today we are very sorely lacking as far as our logistics infrastructure is concerned. The port at MPT just cannot export or take away the goods. So people have to be moving all their cargo to JNPT and moving it from there. The first thing is to augment and improve the MPT port so that exports in the sense, I am not talking only about exports out of the country, but exports even within
Absolutely.
should be made feasible, and that is going to be a big boost to the pharma industry, more than giving them land and asking them to augment and improve their services. The second point you told me is about agriculture. I am happy to see that in this budget the Honorable Chief Minister has created a lot of food clusters. Whether it is your kola mirchi or whether it is cashew, wherein I believe there is a allocation of 5 crores that he has kept aside for cashew industry. But again, in the agricultural sector, for the sector to improve, no amount of farming subsidies are going to help. You have to have your supply chain in place. You have to have your cold chain in place.
That is
unless you augment this, unless you provide this kind of a support to the agricultural sector, whatever you do is going to be of no use.
I'd just like to add, not interrupt, add on to this, because see now agriculture land is there. Okay, now we have lot of land also in urban areas. See, probably a little bit of adjustment. We have lot of land in very urban areas. Urban, like you take even like Taligaon or Kalangut and all, which people are even not going to go into agriculture. You have a field, how much you going to earn? 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs. a month, I'm talking not even a year. You put that, you get it commercialized, you're going to earn in Kalangu, they start, I don't know, 30, 40, you just name it, anybody, whatever. So people are not going to go in for that. So that type of agriculture professionally done with all these hubs and all, we have got a big rural large areas in rural, like for example Kepen side or wherever. So that the government should get into. Second thing, there has been a complaint that a lot of these vegetables and all are being sold at subsidized rate in the thing. Fair enough, the government is trying to give it at very cheap, no problem. So it goes for this lowest tender. Why? I don't think that onions can't be grown in Goa. They can be grown. I don't think that brinjals or bhedis or whatever, maybe some of the vegetables cannot be grown. Why they can't? Let it go a little bit. Goans have, I don't think Goans are going to crib so much. Most of the people who go to these places, I don't know, we should take a trip there, they will know. The thing is that, forget, people from Goa should get the money. That is my point. The cheapest is not always the best solution. I know, sorry Siddharth, but I know that tenders go at the lowest thing. But ultimately it is our own farmer should go. Now, Kirit's at Maxons, now if he sells it for 1-2 rupees because it is local, who's going to, anybody will crave?
No, I think it is Kirit's prerogative, he can support, he can be vocal for local.
Why?
I will add to Kirit's logistics point of view. I mean,
that part
I fully agree. I mean,
yes.
Industry just by giving land will not sustain. You have to create the surrounding support system for that industry, and I believe this budget has got provision for logistics. And in fact, that is one innovative thing that this budget has. That it is speaking about logistics. It is creating a logistics hub. It is creating logistics system, which is very much essential. The service industry today is providing maximum jobs,
yes,
rather than the hardcore manufacturing industry.
I want to get to that point.
Yes, and I think it is stressing on this industry. Even the tourism industry, there is a big boost that is there in terms of one very good thing is he is talking about the structural audits of all the monuments. Many a times what happens is our monuments are in dilapidated state and they keep on deteriorating. So this will bring to us what needs to be done, so that we bring out our monuments, our structures of heritage, of importance to the tourist in a better way. So there are a lot of innovative measures that are there in this budget, and I think definitely this budget will go a long way. It is having a foresight of almost 20-25 years, as the government spoke yesterday in the assembly, that we should be prepared to see Goa 25 years hence, and I think this budget has taken a step in that direction.
Total, there's a lot of potential. My issue is just to, before I go to you, Vinayak, is basically ease of doing business. Second thing, infrastructure. Like you go to industrial estate, what do you need? Roads, fine, whatever, potholes, but our roads are pretty good. I don't think, unless it is inside, nobody is going to crib over that. Electricity, internet connection, water. See, consumer, no doubt the government is obviously going to give their voters a thing, but ultimately business has to be supported. From where is the money going to come?
In fact, as you said, this budget, I have said it earlier initially in my welcome remarks, that this is a reforms oriented budget.
Correct.
He talks about making everything online for the ease of doing business, for the citizens' ease.
I was wondering when you're going to come up with that.
Slowly we'll come out with all the positive points. Don't worry, I'll come out with every positive point of this.
Okay.
But he talks about making things easy for the citizens and the industry.
That's what's needed.
Apply online, the time-bound approvals. He talks about it.
Even conversion,
everything. It has to be transparent process. I think this is what is required for the system today.
This is exactly what the vision that initially, even when Prime Minister Modi spoke, he spoke about this. This is what, unfortunately, in many places, in many of our segments in Goa, also this implementation is always slipped between the
and definitely all these reforms, all this balancing of the things are going to get in a lot of central help, because the center is very clear. You open up your systems, you make it more transparent, we will support you. That is the center's motto, and I think exactly this budget goes in that direction.
Yeah, I remember when Mr. Parrikar was the CM and he spoke about that, no, I want to have this, and many of us said, but today when you drive to Margaon, you can see that. Vinayak,
He also talks about MOPA, which is going to really transform the North Goa, and especially the Penne Taluka. Penne Taluka, I think, has been a little bit, looked down right from the of our liberation.
Yeah, but
So-
like the previous tourism minister wanted to set up casinos.
No, but of course, today I envy Penne Taluka because the CM said in August the first flight will land.
That
And
is-
once the flights
Of course.
land and take off from Penne, I think that Taluka is going for a very major changeover and in a very positive direction. That's what I foresee for Penne.
Yes. Viran.
Yeah, I truly agree with Siddharth Bab what he said as far as the infrastructure is concerned. But one point what would like to add here is I would like to appreciate and I would like to congratulate Mr. Kochkar who has just recently represented and
In
made
fact, he
a,
was supposed to be. I
made
don't
a
know what's
formal
happened to
letter.
him. Yeah.
He has made a formal representation to the government to make things easier so that these companies don't run away from Goa. The once you start application and then to get that application done, it's a marathon.
That's what I was talking
It's a
about.
marathon.
Ease of
To
thing,
ease
yes.
of doing business. It's in literal sense, it should be an ease of doing business. Then only will the companies come and stay here in Goa. Second point I would like to say is it's when we talk about manufacturing, we need not only talk about pharma industries, it can be any other industry. The more particularly industry what we need to harness and we want to concentrate now is should be the IT industry because IT is
Yeah.
the future.
But you need internet for that.
We need
proper
internet, we need to
power.
we need to put in more resources to how do we do it as
See, as regards the power, I think Goans are very much blessed. I was in Amethi in 2014. I don't know the situation today. It has drastically changed, I believe. In the Crown Prince's constituency, there was no power certainly for 16 hours a day. 8 hours may not get. But 16 hours out of 24 hours, there was definitely a power cut. So this was in a Crown Prince's constituency when they were ruling for almost maybe 10 or maybe 10 consecutive years, and previous to that maybe 30-40 years. But we are quite that way well placed in terms of power. Yes, I agree we have to improve further, especially because of connectivity. The topography is little bit hampering our thing. We have got lot of mountains, we have got ups and downs, so that we need a robust network of towers for productivity, for network to be very reliable. But I also believe lot of the IT guys have shifted because of work from home. Lot of my friends have shifted back to Goa.
Correct, yes.
And they are working for all the majors across the globe but from Goa. So it's one good thing. I think the systems are improving.
Yeah, I agree with you. But sometimes I think now what has happened is we are getting, so we want it little quicker.
Yes, of course. Yes, we should.
No, but then when you talk about power, I think there are two things that we have to keep in mind. See, one is consistency of your supplies.
Uninterrupted
Second
power.
is the quality of supply.
Quality of-
these are the two most important things. If you are talking about an IT industry, for instance, they are not very concerned about the continuity or consistency because each one works on their own gensets.
Okay.
You understand? But quality power is very important for an IT industry.
Yes.
For an industrial unit, it's just the other way. You need constant power because industry cannot afford to run on gensets.
Yes.
So when we talk of power, we have to look at it from this particular aspect, which is the area that we need to truly focus on as far as power is concerned. Besides, I think this is a long-term demand that we had to look at on how industry is going to stagger their production processes to ensure that power remains constant through the whole 24-hour cycle period. Because if you start consuming bulk amount of power only during the daytime, and industries don't work in their third shift and fourth shifts, where you have surplus power coming in which is not being used, this is where we fail. There has to be a very systematic study on how we are going to have power consistently and constructively used through the 24-hour period.
Maybe
power is really not an issue for Goa.
Should not be an issue.
Yeah, but maybe then we should go for a differential tariff so that attractive tariff at night or something like that. Yeah.
And also I think it's a very important to have.
I don't think
Government sees with this. I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I know
Nilesh was debating on this.
Right.
Yeah, but not differential is fine. But I don't really think that power coming into Goa is an issue. I don't think. The issue is distribution. Huge
Losses.
Yes, power losses. Not only with power, with water. It's not. We have got. Goa doesn't have water. It's inconceivable. At least in our lifetimes. But it doesn't reach the people. Like, I'll give you a small example. I know there was no government for so many days, I think probably even before election. But we have done 2 stories about power leakage in Bamboli, just where that service road ends. 20 days back, we did one story, we spoke to the guy, yeah. Again, last week we did the
Water leakage.
Water is just flowing, and these guys have made a channel into, where there are some superparties have started, and they're using that water. Now, this type of leakage, this is water issue. See, we know that there is water, the pressure goes, because there is water leakage everywhere. See, the issue about autos also last time, I don't think it was a government, the minister should have been a little more, so that's immaterial. But even this issue, it's not that we don't have power, it's not that we don't have electricity, it's not that we don't have the political vision or will.
No, I'll just add to this. Glenn, the Panji Smart City. Now, we have utilized Panji Smart City funds to make a very robust power network for Panji. One thing is that we have got state-of-the-art GIS substations replacing all our overhead transformers.
Yeah, we can see that, yes.
We have connected all the substations internally, so that even one area fails, we can feed that area through the other ring system. We have implemented that. We have ensured Panji gets power supply from 2 different sources. So even if our high tension source from say Tv fails, we still have Kurti to depend on. So that way we have trying to make robust power networks, so that we are all from Panji, he is from Madgaon, but we have seen the stability of power in Panji.
Yes, it's
power rarely fails in Panji, and we have got quite a good voltage distribution in Panji. So I think these models need to be studied and replicated across all the other towns and other industrial centers.
Also that you should some sort of a supervision should basically increase, improve, like power, like Nilesh was the power minister last time. He's very proactive, but bottlenecks are there. Files used to remain behind in the office. You should not get.
I think Nilesh has done a lot of things. In fact, the smart city also Nilesh was quite instrumental to push us.
But still, so much of things there was, I don't know, for whatever reasons, many of the distribution, the networks, the thing was not replaced for a long time.
Yes.
Wires and the conductors, semiconductors. You talk to any of the
small
guys,
components,
small
jumpers, insulators, and all those things.
Tenders were passed, but it was not replaced. Let's not get it. Roads tenders are passed, payments of it, roads are not there. So these are the things that, more than the budget, these are the things that the government should look at in the next 5 years. We are not talking. I know Vinayak and Kirit, they represent industry, but I represent the people which come from the small this. Yeah, so I would give back to Vinayak and Kirit about industry.
Industry also represents people.
Also is my people. As far as Siddharth is but also it's important, because without money, if industry is not given due credit and probably more credit that it gets, the government is not going to have any money to do anything.
Yeah, I think government has identified 3 sectors. One is the tourism, one is the health, and one is the electricity, which has got increased budget allocations. The health also has got around 12.8% increased budget allocations, and I think that is going for a lot of the modern facilities that are going to be set up in super specialty facilities, ortho or replacement of various joints, parts of the body.
I would like
things.
I would like to welcome Clyde Crasto. He is the NCP spokesman from Bombay, Maharashtra, but he's in charge of Goa also. Clyde, hi, welcome to our show.
Hi.
Have you been following the debate?
In fact, logged in about 10 minutes ago, and I've been listening to all of you speaking. Unfortunately, I couldn't log in earlier because, like I told you, I was in the middle of a lot of meetings.
Let me introduce you first. Clyde, this is Siddharth Kunkolekar from
Clyde.
the BJP.
Hi.
This is Chartered Accountant Vinayak Dovatkar from GCCI.
Hello.
And that is Kirit Maganlal from CII. He also happens to be the owner of the Maxon's chain of supermarkets. That's Clyde Crasto, NCP Bombay,
Hi.
Maharashtra. Yeah, Clyde. So tell us, you want to start off, you want to add something, you've seen the budget, anything you don't?
you know what, it's too early. Mr. Pramod Sawant has, just kind of taken charge of office. So to start criticizing him from the word go will not be very astute on my part. But because I think there'll be many chances that I'll get to kind of show him the mirror or the BJP.
Thank you, Clyde, for such a magnanimity.
Yeah. Well, I know something, but honestly, before I get into further, I just like to congratulate the BJP. I mean, they formed a government. Well, they did it the way they did it. So congratulations on that, and wishing them all the best. I'm hoping that actually they, really work for the people of Goa. But having said that, I find something very strange. I mean, it's not that in jest that I'm saying, but to someone to swear in on a Monday and then present a budget in 2 days' time, well, I'm finding it quite surprising. I mean, is there a lot of homework done there? Was a lot of homework going on before that? Was there a super confidence in that I'm going to come back, like he said, Bhupachi Garazna, I'll be back, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger says it. So, I mean, obviously, I've got a 35-page document, which talks about the budget of Goa, which I'll, go through, and I mean, I like to go in detail. But I find it difficult that someone could, come up with a budget which could be beneficial for the people of Goa in just 2 days' time. I hope it is beneficial. I hope he's thought well before presenting the budget. But it is too fast for me. I mean, if he can do the budget in 2 days, then I would ideally think that he should be the finance minister of India, because in our country we need a good finance minister right now. Because thankfully, if Pramod Sawant knows what he's doing, he won't say that I don't buy mirchi, so I'm not concerned with the price of mirchi going up or onions or whatever. I mean, whatever the famous lines that were given to us. But having said that, I mean, we need a good finance minister. Like I said, we need, someone to look at our finances, because inflation is high. A lot of things that are going on. Fuel prices are going up. So finance is something that is not just going to be affected in the country, in Goa, but it's going to be affected everywhere. So I hope he's done his homework, because it's difficult to fathom the fact that somebody can come up with a budget in 2 days. But thinking for the good of Goa, for the people of Goa, I hope it is good. Okay, and I was just going through a reading before I came into seeing, and I read somewhere that Mr. Pramod Sawant ended his speech by saying Bhupachi Garazna. Now Bhupachi Garazna, when he said it last time, I mean, what happened? So many people died, and so I just hope and pray for the good of Goa, good of the people of Goa, that when he says Bhupachi Garazna, I mean, there's really no cause for concern or fear, and he does something that is well. So as we build up, I'm going to be with you for a little while. I hope you kind of enlighten me with a few things, and I'm sure I'll talk about that. And at the end of the day, whether now it's an elected government. So at the end of the day, whoever is representing a constituency is not just a representative of that particular party. He or she who has won the election is a representative of the whole constituency. And Mr. Pramod Sawant is the chief minister for every individual living Goa, every Goan. He's not just the chief minister of BJP. So I hope he fulfills his duty and works for every Goan, every citizen of Goa, and he works for all of them. I wish him all the best.
Yeah, thanks, Clyde. I would like
Rest assured, Clyde.
I will. I'll get Siddharth.
Unless I fear he will go.
No, he's not going to go. He'll be there.
But I'm here.
He's not going to. So Siddharth, you can answer politically, and then we get on to.
Yes, Clyde. Bhupachi Garazna, but I think NCP has got to Bhupachi Garazna. 100 crore Vasuli, Anil Deshmukh. I think you all are expert in finance. So 2 days budget, yes, it is possible. If you work hard, yes, definitely it is possible. And Dr. Pramod Sawant has been there in the saddle for almost 3 years now. And he has been working for the benefit of the Goans, bringing governance to their doorstep. Government tumcha dari, Sarkar tumcha dari, various programs, Swayambhur Goa, and definitely we will take care of every Goan, as you said. Yes, we will consider your request, and we will definitely work towards bringing the government schemes and the benefits to each and every Goan.
With this budget thing also, that means preparation on the budget was being done earlier.
Budget is a continuous process. It is not that I sit for budget presentation for 2 days. See, the collection of this point goes on for several days together. The budget requires a preparation. and the various inputs are collected from different sectors, the heads of department of the government departments, from the industry, from the common man, from the politicians, from the other sectors of the society, and I think all this combination goes in a preparation of a budget.
Okay, Clyde, I will get the Anil, I will allow you to talk about Anil Deshmukh. Give me a minute, I don't mind, but just let Kirit come in on first. Then we'll get, I don't mind a cat fight, it's fine. Yeah, Vinayak.
So let me put it like this. I don't hold a brief for any government.
Yes, in business you can't afford to.
Yeah, no, but even otherwise,
Yeah.
but the fact remains that if you do not take a quick decision, like some parties have been doing, not been able to appoint their leaders, you keep blaming them and saying that you are doing the wrong thing. And if you take a quick decision and create a budget in 2 days, we still have questions about, how the hell have you done it? So, I think today, in today's world, efficiency should be acknowledged. If he has done it within 2 days, obviously, it shows the level of confidence that he has had. Like I said, I don't have a brief standard.
But all preparation earlier.
But the preparations were done earlier.
That's
The confidence that I am going to come up and the confidence that I am going to be presenting a budget in 2 days, I think that is admirable. I mean, whatever has come out of it. Whether it's going to be in the good of the people, on the face of it today, it looks okay to us. I mean, it's a very progressive kind of a budget. But like I said, only time will tell. You got to go read the fine prints, try and understand whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
there was no time to read.
But it's a great beginning.
Okay, this is just a thing. Like I couldn't go for the swearing in because we were live and all. But I went when he took over. I had gone here to the secretariat. And, there was a huge mess. So after all that, I asked him. I said, Dudur, are you going to present the budget? He's saying, initially he didn't hear me because there's so much of noise. I asked him, he's saying, yes, I am going to present the full budget. I asked him again because I thought he was vote account or appropriation or whatever. I asked him, he's saying, yes. Now he's saying, I'm going to present the full budget. So when I came out, I was speaking to my colleagues. I told him, he said, they say, nah, it's not possible. How they are going to do it? It's not possible. I said, he has told me. He said, maybe you didn't understand. He didn't understand. I said, he understood. What? I didn't understand. So then later on, after the cabinet, then they asked him. I said, they asked me. Then he repeated it. So basically, he was prepared. Looks like.
No, we have been preparing.
All these
this. We are
points.
confident. See, first of all, let me tell you that we are confident with people's support. We will return back to the power. We will return back to govern Goa and give good governance once again. And in that belief, we have been preparing for this budget. It is not that it has happened overnight. There is a deep thought that has gone in this. It is not just prepared in haste or something. That is why Dr. Pramod Sawant could present a full-fledged budget instead of just a vote on account.
Yeah, Vinay.
As Clyde says, he's online. He's
online.
Yeah.
I would support him. आता सध्या भिवपाची आमकां खरेंच गरज ना अंडर द एबल लिडरशिप ऑफ डॉक्टर प्रमोद सावंत पूण आमकां खरें एक्चुअली भिवपाची जी गरज आसा ते इज इन द फायनान्सीस ऑफ द स्टेट माय अगेन स्टेटमेंट इज ऑन द फायनान्सीस ऑफ द स्टेट हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू ऑगमेंट दिस रेवेन्यू टू रिड्यूस आवर डेफिसिट इज आवर मूड क्वेश्चन But I'm sure with double engine government at state and center दोन्ही आमची बीजेपी गव्हर्नमेंट हातात घालून आमचे डेफिसिट रिड्यूस करतले हे पॉझिटिव्ह सेन्सान it's going to be a very promising year ahead. That's what I feel.
Clyde, are you there? Clyde?
Might have left.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yes,
Can you hear
Clyde.
me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the BJP spokesperson name. Can you just let me know what his name is?
Siddharth Kunkolegar.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Can I call you Siddharth? I hope it's.
Oh
okay.
yes, of course, Clyde. Yes.
So
I don't think
he's
in charge of
about
NCP
100
now.
crores
Just
and Anil
appointed.
Deshmukh and everything. I mean, I'll tell you something. I think I don't know if you get the newspapers from Maharashtra in Goa, you read them. But I think you should at least try and see Goa365 often because they do a good report. Because the 100 crore thing was just a hearsay, and those people involved in saying that the 100 crores were involved actually went on record to say that we heard them say. So This is going on right now, ED in Maharashtra, where there is no BJP government, how the central agencies work and all. Now that could be a different debate altogether, and Siddharth, I would love to do one-on-one with you.
Oh yes, of course. Let us keep it. Let us keep it aside for some other day.
Yeah, we'll keep that aside for client Siddharth. I will get you, no problem. We have no issues. But I think you're going to bore Vinayak and Kiran with this.
No, definitely, client. With Glenn's help, we will definitely meet again.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
Vyupaji Garas na.
Vyupaji Garas na.
Vyupaji Garas na. You know, say, Maka Vyupaji Garas na. How bhya na. मुझे कोंकणी every 20 kilometers they say कोंकणी change जाता. मुझे out कोंकणी उलयता. पण मुझी कोंकणी तुझी कोंकणी इंगड असा. So let's speak English that way. My point here is Maka Vyupaji Garas na. And point here is, if you talk about Vyupaji Garas, there are a lot of leaders in Maharashtra also have to worry right now and be afraid of. But like I said, the point here is, at the end of the day, like what happened in the Goa Medical College during that COVID times, the way things were handled, I personally feel, I'm a very positive politician. I'm here to show you the mirror. You are in government right now. My thing is very simple. I mean, if Pramod Sawant ji is doing something, and like the gentleman who's from the corporate industry said that, we have to hand it to him that within 2 days, he gave the budget. But it's surprising. Like Glenn said, he went and asked him, and he said yes, and so his own team members thought, well, are you sure? So things happen. But point here is, at the end of the day, the people of Goa, because we go over the top, we announce kind of schemes, we announce allocate money, where is the money going to come from, what the money is going to be used for, and like a simple thing like tourism. Like earlier I was never coming to Goa very often, but last the 2-3 months I've been coming to Goa, and I'm a grassroots person. Besides being the spokesperson NCP in charge of so and so, I'm a grassroots person. If I'm sitting in a cab, or if I'm sitting walking in the street, I'll talk to the common man. The common problems faced by every Goan, who मूल निवासी, we say Marathi मध्ये सांगतात मूल निवासी. Okay, the author, the indigenous Goan is always worried about tourism. Yes, you increase tourism, you want people to come to the state, but Goa is not all about tourism. You're concentrating so much on tourism in Goa, but what about your own people? What are you doing for your own people? How much are you going to do for your own people? Roads are made, highways are made. Now the highways are made under the scheme of roads and highways from the central government. They're huge highways. I've traveled wonderful roads. Let me compliment Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Wonderful roads. He's an astute politician. But the point here is, if you're going to only concentrate on tourism industry, okay, what are you doing for the people of Goa which will benefit them? I mean, by allocating IT sector, allocating, like I think that I heard you say that a lot of infrastructure in the hospitals and all. Yes, it's good. You need very good hospitals. You need top of the line hospitals, good equipment and all. But how much of it is actually going to happen is just to wait and watch. We have to wait and watch. You've been in government for a while now, okay? I mean, the late Mr. Parikar, wonderful politician. I mean, across, we have our differences and everything with, across parties, but he was a wonderful politician. He has done a lot of simple man. I've met him once. I had a good fortune of meeting him once in Bombay for a minute only. Wonderful man. But point is, how much of this work is this government going to carry forward? How much work are you all carrying forward? See, giving a good budget, allocating crores and crores of rupees does not work always. At the end of the day, are you going to be able to take it forward? Are you going to be able to? You spoke about the Crown Prince and everything. BJP's favorite pastime has become Rahul Gandhi. I mean, I'll tell you, Goa365 is a channel which is not like a typical, cat fight channel. So I'm going to tell you something in jest.
Pastime or time pass?
To ask people from the BJP, all the answers are Rahul Gandhi. Anything you say, Rahul Gandhi, Crown Prince. There is a lot of things beyond that. There is 7 years since Smriti Irani has been the MP of Amethi. I mean, what has she done? She has stopped speaking. She's not speaking at all. I mean, the whole incident about hijab and everything that is going on, a women and child development minister, you're not talking. My point is, what I'm trying to get to is, I'm not digressing from the point. The point I'm bringing to is, when you come into government, you say a lot of good things. But at the end of the day, are you implementing that? That is the important part. You got to implement. And for me, even when I come to Goa, I may not be a Goan, I may not be from Goa, but when I come to Goa, then I become a part of that state. And what affects the people there affects me because I'm there for those 2 days, 4 days, 5 days, or whatever. So at the end of the day, whatever you do, you have to do it for the people of Goa. I mean, a lot of talk about mining was going on. I mean, I keep talking to the driver. I was in a car one day, and one of the driver said, "Sir, I'm driving now because the mining industry is shut down. I've lost all my income. My family is, in bad shape." And at that point of time, he said, "No, we are not going to vote for the BJP." This is the common man's talk, and because they've taken away a lot of our stuff. So, for the good of people like those, good of that particular driver that who was driving, the chauffeur of the car or the common man, for their good, for the good of the people of Goa, I just hope that the new government that is formed under the leadership of Mr. Pramod Sawant actually goes down to the last man, and whether somebody is voted for them or not voted for them, and actually goes down and serves them, and not just relies on this big announcement. That's what my thing is, because we can keep fighting between spokesperson, between parties, but don't let the common man suffer is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Clyde, I'll just do 1 minute.
Sure.
Clyde, you talked about infra for tourism. The infra that is being developed in Goa is not just for tourism, it's for everybody. In fact, I am personally, enjoying the fruits of this infrastructure. I can reach my workplace in 25 minutes or 35 minutes instead of 1 hour what I was spending earlier. So this is for the common man like me, like you, for everyone. And in fact, you talked about the budget implementation. The first time the government has submitted on the floor of the house action taken report for the last year's budget. And it was 46% achievements as on 31st December. And we are going to touch around 75 to 80% achievements by end of this March, by end of tomorrow. That is the situation, implementation of the past budgets. And we are confident that is why the action taken report has been submitted on the floor of the house. And thirdly, you talked about the taxi driver that spoke to you not voting for BJP. I think we Goans have realized we have proved all exit polls wrong and brought back BJP with a good majority. So I think next time when you talk to somebody, tell them you are from BJP, they will talk to you really.
Let me
Well, let me tell you that did not go
we come here to discuss the budget. But there is one thing, Glenn, that I realized, which maybe I missed it out in the budget, but the sustainability factor has not been given due importance. At least I didn't see it in the budget.
Sustainability means like?
Sustainability factor would mean like say emphasis on green buildings. Okay. So
solar power.
What is the emphasis that is on the green building? We had, the CIA had put a recommendation for renewable energy export policy, which is already there today in the state of Andhra Pradesh. This is extremely important. You know how you are going to create and export the energy that is there. We had also recommended a proper policy for open access as far as sustainability is concerned. I saw that the government was putting in a lot of money to have electric buses. They were getting for 15 new buses, I believe, and then convert everything
15
into
of
buses.
the old and some more of them, I think.
I believe so.
Yes.
It's a very good move. But at the same time, I think the government also should move into getting all their own government vehicles, into electric vehicles. I also didn't see much on the FAME 2 subsidy. Though I think they have increased the subsidy for residential from 40% to 50% for solar panels in the residential houses. But for electric vehicles, the local government subsidy on FAME 2, there is a central FAME 2.
That's the only center, I don't think
but
local.
Goa government has not done. Though I
Not
believe that there was a move to for the Goa government also to be looking into.
Nilesh Kabral was saying that they were going to.
I'm really not sure the attention that has been put on the sustainability factor in this budget. Maybe it's there.
No, it's there. I'll just bring to your notice, Kirit, is
I
that
also want to talk on
there
this.
are two things which is emphasized. One is the phasing out of single-use plastic and banning it altogether. Secondly, reducing use of plastics. That is one good area that they have covered. Thirdly, the budget also speaks about allocation of major funds for electric vehicle promotion.
But there's nothing has been done as yet.
No, I think KTC is already gone in that direction. The government has also,
I'm talking for the private sector.
private sector, yes.
People who are going in, because I know more than the government vehicles, it is the public who should get the consciousness to.
Yes, but
And bikes
see,
are costing almost 2 lakhs, the electric vehicles, which are almost double the rate of.
But slowly
something.
that
Yeah.
gap is also being narrowed. But I believe that even the government is promoting electric vehicle purchase for their own use and hiring of the electric
Then
vehicles.
Building. One point I would like to.
But yes, green buildings, yes,
yeah,
definitely.
because some
government should look
solar
at it,
panels,
yeah.
he said all government buildings. So, but
One program that is also being talked about in this budget is implementation of solar energy production for all government building terraces and for the irrigation facilities like canals and the dams.
yeah, but now there is one issue on this. There's an issue now. Even the center is facing a problem on this. Now they had started off that excess power to be given back to the grids. Now that discom policy, the electricity boards have went into a loss because only during peak hours it was going back, or non-peak hours it was going back. Then they had excess of electricity. So some sort of a policy has to be made on that. Now Goa has got so much of wind, it's got so much of sun, but we don't see wind power. That is
I'll correct it. I'll correct it. See,
There have been studies that
Goa's
have been made.
wind potential and solar potential both are low compared to the central belt of India.
Okay.
Now that is why commercially it may not be viable for any industrialist or business person to set up solar power plants or wind power plants in Goa.
What about the houses and all? Can't
Yeah,
you-
houses of course, yes, for small scale basis we are able to generate power for that.
Yeah, but then the cost is still very, very high.
It's very
Yes,
It's
yes.
very
I
high. It's
think
not,
maybe
The
that's
cost,
affordable.
if you look at it from an industry or a businessman's point of view, there are two costs. One is your capital cost, one is your operational cost, capex and opex, right? So, as a businessman or an industrialist, I would rather put in capex because if my opex comes down, then my cash
Yes.
flow improves.
Yes, of course.
So, in other words, what I am trying to say is, if my electricity bill was 5,000 rupees every month and that was my outgo, if I spend say 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs into setting up a net metering grid in my house, my bill from 5,000 rupees will come to 500 rupees. Now, it may take me 3 years or 5 years to recover, the ROI may take time, but my cash flow improves. This is how a businessman looks at, he doesn't look at the initial investment that goes. So, in this particular way, the Goa government is promoting both. They are promoting the net metering system, what you just mentioned,
Yes.
or they are promoting the hybrid system. Hybrid system, your capital investment is still higher because you got to put batteries and kind of stuff. But I think as far as green buildings is concerned, and green building is a complete project. It's not only solar.
Yeah, not only.
Water harvesting. Now this time in the budget, I saw that there is a certain amount of trust that the government is giving for
Yes.
water harvesting facilities. So I think as a holistic view, green buildings is something that should very seriously.
I think we
be
should
thought
come
of.
out with the policy for green buildings.
And
Incentivizing.
CIA has got a
Water
center of
harvesting.
excellence.
Yeah, CIA is promoting green buildings.
They've got a
Yes.
center of
So it's a
excellence.
good
which,
initiative.
looks-
Yeah.
Now, one thing, Vinayak, I want to elaborate more on this loan issue also, because there is no roadmap as such for. I think the CM has said that he's going to pay some X amount,
1,000 crores.
Yeah.
1,000 crores. But there is no sort of like for something like this. If you want to reduce that, I don't know, 3% or minimum or higher or lower or the amount of thing, there should be some sort of already some sort of a discussion going on how that can be reduced. So how a lot of industry can.
Just to bring to Dwatkars notice that government budget is talking about getting the existing loans replaced by NABARD funds at 2.75% interest.
ग्लेन बाब एक्चुअली कशें आसा तुमकां सांगचें म्हणल्यार दॅट द प्रॉब्लम लायज इन दी अंडरस्टँडिंग ऑफ रेव्हेन्यू एंड कॅपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर what our state is doing is we are incurring more of revenue expenditure, less of capital expenditure. This is what is the main problem.
Yes. Capital is only coming for the roads and all.
And if you see the quantum, what is being expensive, if you see 16,000 crore is what is our revenue expenditure, as against 5,000 only as capital expenditure. This is on this front I would stand by my
It
opposition.
should be the opposite
On
actually.
this side I would stand by my opposition.
It should
in
be
the assembly,
opposite.
where they are saying it should be the other way around.
Yeah, it should be 16 for capital and 5,000 for revenue.
And on this front, I would agree with Kirit Bhai that he's saying that infrastructure should be ready for the greenhouses or the wind turbines and all that. But that it requires the capital expenditure. Where is the capital expenditure coming from?
Not coming.
It's not coming in. You are not going to replace your go on replacing loans in the market.
One loan,
Market
cheaper.
borrowings are at 15,000 crores. NABARD today, of course, to congratulate the CM to buying loans at 2.7, it's a commendable job.
Of course.
But what has happened for this all these years, this is what needs to be corrected, and it will take time to correct. It can't happen in a 1 year's time.
That's not overnight.
It's not
That's
overnight.
not overnight. But that map should be drawn. No?
That roadmap
See, for
is very
example,
important.
See NABARD, okay, it's giving you at 2.7 or 3%. You say now if it was said that NABARD was giving you 10,000 crores and you pay this off, then it would have been substantial. But if you are going to take that to put it somewhere else,
Exactly.
it's not going
That's
to
not going to help.
It's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
but this is a step in that direction, you know, taking
Hopefully.
roadmap has to be
Yeah,
yes.
we don't know. We don't
Policy
know.
making has to be.
Now you assume because you are part of government, we are not. So we don't know whether it's
There
going
has
to
to
be
be
or
concrete. There has to be concrete steps in that direction. Then
one.
only
Number
some-
two. Number two. Now the capital infrastructure. Why capital infrastructure is not going? We are doing capital investment on roads, highways, bridges. It's not reflected on state. It is not on our fiscal management.
Correct.
It is central fiscal management.
Yes.
Now the central fiscal management, the railway, the quadrilaterals, all that. Fine, that is perfect. That nobody is, arguing or discussing about that. We are talking about here. This is where, see, it's not that it cannot do. Goa is a pretty rich state. It can be done, but just that it has to come out. Now you as a thing, possibly like you could say, okay, no, we are going to do this. In this year we are going to be this, then we are going to do this, we are going to do this. This is my point. I think, are you talking the same way?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. This is what we need to do. There has to be a concrete plan. How are we going to go ahead with this? Definitely, it's not an overnight story. We have to work for it, and there has to be a deep thought for it, and all stakeholders to be taken on board, and
Into
it has to be discussed not individually. It has to be done democratically with everybody on board. That would be the right way of handling this.
This is one thing which is come up now, allocation to health center and all. Last time I think they heard Clyde.
No, it is there. He has increased the health budget by around 12%.
One more area in the budget is on IT, on startups, on entrepreneurship. So there is an allocation of some 145 crores that has been given. The future is in these things.
Yes,
this is
So
the
I think
future.
a higher allocation would have been the order of the day, or the allocation should be properly used. Now, how it's going to roll out is something very important to be seen.
No, 140 basically is going to be just to do some R&D, research, project reports and all that. More than that, I think.
No, I don't think 140 crore goes in that, but there is a lot of things that are
But
also
it's a
happening in
less amount,
startups.
Yeah.
Yeah, 140 crores also is substantial for a size of Goa.
I don't know. We have got lot of our business is quite
No,
big that way.
what we also need to do is institutes of higher education that we have
Should be.
They should be having incubation
R&D.
centers. Like see, GIM has got that Atal Incubation Center, which is doing
Yes.
Don Bosco is
really Don Bosco has got.
Doing very well.
So I think all the other institutes that we have of higher education should take that up. It's important.
Also another thing now, since we are talking about startups and all, now we have so much of land. Goa is a small place, but we have so much of land blocked. Now the government has got it out. I'm aware they're paying off. They make fast tracking, paying. It's worth you pay, finish it off. I don't know. I'm sure somebody might criticize me for saying it, but that land, there are a lot of people in Goa, a lot of youth who would want to get into business. But it is difficult. You go to GSIDC or you go to get further, there are 101 formalities. And the people who are coming from outside can hire people to do the paperwork. I can't. I tried it as a, just as an exercise. It's difficult. See that you are here in thing. It has its own formalities. Allocate, how much? 40 lakhs square meters? 30 lakhs you keep for goans, 10 lakhs you give outside. Or, I'm just saying, I'm not being RG. I'm not being RG, but what I'm saying is that, you do it. Give an opportunity also now to add two things. Let me finish. To add two things. Incubation centers and people to help these people to fill in the formalities, fill in the loan, train the people, local people.
No, Glenn, I'll tell you. See, what a Goan entrepreneur sometimes needs is plug and play facilities because he doesn't have time, to go through all
it's
this.
not time. No knowledge.
No,
No
so that's
knowledge.
what- so once you have plug and play, see, knowledge you have to acquire yourself.
No, not that.
Government cannot, put in knowledge in your head.
But incubation centers, training
Yes,
centers.
so that is why
skilling.
incubation centers are also
Training.
required. The Atal Incubation Center in GIM, then Don Bosco has it, Asgaon College has it, and I believe a lot of EDC has it. It was started during
When
my
you were
tenure.
there, yes, okay.
Yes, and it's doing very well. If you go there, I happened to be there recently, and I saw a lot of youths, working there. Everybody is busy. I asked the center manager, there are at least around 12 companies which are being incubated, and it's a good sign
Very
for the
good sign,
economy.
yes.
And I am very certain that the government also means business. I mean, we need to streamline lot of issues at GIDC. I fully agree with that, and we have to work towards it. There is no second thought about it.
There are very few points which I disagreed to you, but this is one particular point which I will disagree with you. When you said that the knowledge has to come from the government to the people. Actually, आमचे सरकार तुमच्या द्वारे म्हणून आमचे सीएम दोतोरान केलें तातूंत भितर ही स्पेसिफिकली सेड इन that session that there are 152 schemes which are being introduced by our government there. It is up to the people to go there and check for themselves that there are the schemes, apply for it and take it. Of course there will be some hiccups here and there because of the government processes, but at the end of the day it's government. Everywhere we are going to face it. If you want it, you take it.
That is okay, I granted. Absolutely. This point is absolutely granted. Yeah. Kirit, we are almost out of time. So I just service industry little bit more you want to talk about. See, because service industry ultimately it's about ease of doing business. Total, complete, smooth. It's see, whatever little I've not. I don't think anybody has got. I think we were watching it together, the budget. Not got time to get into details, but ultimately what is going to happen, see the principle behind it is correct, and it's following up from the previous governments, but ultimately what could be the make or break would be the implementation, that ease of doing business, infrastructure and all. See, everything is for a government, especially when you have the center with you. All this electricity, water, I know is a minor issue. It's very minor. Like, see, a person like Nitin Gadkari, what is done with the roads? Almost miracles. Not in Goa, I'm talking about places like like hardcore places.
I'm looking forward to Mumbai Delhi expressway.
It's going to be a fantastic experience. The Hyderabad one also, the 10-lane one is
going to be a very nice one.
Yeah,
but it's a great riding experience.
That is not. I don't think it is problem for the government to do things. The problem for the government is to see that it is done.
So the primary and secondary, in your opinion, is something that the government will manage. It's only the tertiary that is important.
Which is
now,
otherwise the primary will shut down. We will get into
if I have to talk, from my line of business, if you are talking about retail, for instance, the industry that got the industry that got the worst hit during COVID was retail.
That's exactly.
And today retail is 30% below the pre-COVID standards. Still below. Now, when I say retail, I am not talking about grocery and supermarkets. I am talking about retail as
business,
a whole line of business.
Yeah.
So things like personal care products, all these things are at 60-70% minus of pre-COVID levels.
I see.
Yeah.
So much.
So retail has suffered tremendously. Your service industry also includes IT, because IT has grown exponentially, because that's exactly what gave the benefit. The COVID pandemic gave a benefit
to
the IT sector.
Work from anywhere.
So work from home and all that. So that way the whole thing has balanced out. But as a tertiary sector today, the revenues that get generated from the tertiary sectors are still not showing on the balance sheets of the state. That's because there's too lopsided a balance that's happening between the sector. Hopefully now things should come into place. But then now
but
you have
systems have to be put in place, no?
Systems have been put into place, but the environment is not favorable. Now today you see what happens with Ukraine and Russia. It's not a war that we are concerned. It's how it's going to affect the industry, affect trade, affect everything that goes. In your life is going to be affected because there is a war happening in a country so far distant from you. So the environment is hostile today, and under a hostile environment, it becomes difficult to project how your revenues and your collections are going to pan.
Almost impossible, I would think. Difficult is being very polite.
I'm always a positive guy, so nothing is impossible.
we should look at I believe
projection. I'm talking projection.
See,
that is not going to do business.
COVID was an epidemic. It has hit a lot of people, but I see it positively. Goa has come out well as a good destination.
Yes, that's
we have got
positive.
a good footfalls of domestic tourists.
And
So,
better, even
much better quality tourists.
Yeah.
So I believe sometimes there are opportunities in adversities also. So and we have to, like Kirit said, we have to be positive, with a positive outlook and walk towards a good plan. That's what I mean. The roadmap has to be clear, like Tomatkar said, that we have to have a good roadmap. I believe that this budget is giving us that roadmap.
Yeah, hopefully, because yeah, the roadmap is there. Not hopefully, the roadmap is there. Only thing is you have to see how
Implement
much
it.
yes,
All
implementation, how
all
much advantage.
All
we can
Goans
take
should have only one blood group. You know what?
Be
that is, no?
positive. Be positive. And I'll add to it, BJP positive.
I
Okay,
don't know.
that's
Yeah, that's okay for you to add, but like anyway, yeah. Is Clyde there for us? Any closing statements besides Anil Deshmukh? Clyde, are you there with us?
I might have left.
I don't know. Okay, anyway, Vinayak, I would want you to see. We know the positive. You've spoken about the positive. Something that you would want, like sort of a wish list, not only for the big business, which is also for the smaller business, so that we need to put this in front of the government on a positive note, with a be positive part of it, but something that needs to be looked at and taken care
Yeah,
of.
Glenn, I would like to focus more on MSME sector, MSME, you know, startup, IT, whatever you call it. These are the smaller areas where we need to focus on.
Okay.
The ease of doing business is not for the larger businesses; it is for the smaller businesses like the MSMEs and the startups.
Yes.
And if you just go to 1 or 2 years ago recently, there were some schemes introduced by the government, with one line scheme, credit line schemes. Actually, even to get these schemes, there was so much of difficulty for the MSME sector. This is what I feel there should be a ease of doing business. Give them, take that money and let it reach to the companies who actually deserve it. That is when you will sustain. Sustainability framework, this is what we need to work on. And I would like to particularly harp on that sustainability framework, which CAG has pointed out in 2020. There is a particularly one point what they have mentioned in the report, that there is a big financial debt which is coming on the state of 7,000 crore.
Or that is of.
That is what they are saying, that is going to be the repayments of the last loans, whatever.
Which are the old ones.
Old loans, yeah.
In 2025, 2026, we are looking at a debt repayment of 7,000 crore.
And it's not only you, and this government cannot say no, they did it.
We can't refuse that. So that is where that planning has to go, because this is where this government is going to be there for till 2025.
Yes.
27.
27. That till 27. So this year will.
3 years down the line, it's coming.
3 years coming in is coming. 7,000 crore is, it's almost 50% of our receipts what we are getting.
Yes.
Yeah, more and direct. It's more.
15,000 crore,
It is
16,000 is our.
Yeah. And we are selling our bonds to pay those.
That is something that I have issue with, because ultimately you are selling the bonds to pay salaries, which is not prudent. Which is not prudent.
Salaries, and if you, I have some figures to that.
Okay.
You know, if to put things in right in spending, you know, the bifurcation of the spending is 40% of our total budget goes into state expenditure as salaries, wages and everything. 20% goes into servicing of the loans, 10% goes in subsidies, only 30% is what is remaining with us with the state for the development work, maintenance of the existing structures. And to make the matters worse, we are on the other side of this thing. We are spending more on revenue to spend less on capital expenditure. So there is a complete imbalance as far as the financing part is concerned. The budget preparation, everything is one side of it.
Yes.
But how do we balance it on all different areas? The four corners of the building, you know, building cannot be on 3 stands. It has to be on the 4 corners. Every stand has to be strong enough to carry the building for next 25 years. This is where the planning has to be there, and a concrete plan for next 25 has to be laid in consultation with all the stakeholders.
Absolutely, and consultation with all stakeholders, and also people like experts in the line, and they should be, you know, that thing should be taken into consideration.
Absolutely.
More importantly is that I think today it is not possible for this government and Dr. Pramod Sawant and Siddharth to say like, "Arey yaar, you cannot," because you have to be, you're there and you have to basically deliver. This 5 years is going to be very crucial for
It's
the
going to be
BJP.
very, very crucial.
And this will probably show whether the BJP government will, in Goa at least, will be successful in Lok Sabha as well as in 2027.
It's a
Because-
testing phase. Next year is going to be testing phase.
If Dr. Pramod Sawant, see, now the ball is in his court completely. He doesn't have anything else. It's everything is. Let's see if he can perform, because if he can perform, he's
No, I'm
like
sure
basically
I'm sure he
king.
would capable.
If he's capable, he's capable, no doubt. But if he can perform, he's king. If not, there will be a lot of people
Definitely.
out.
Yes.
Out. Siddharth, I'll let you end on this because I've ended 1 minute.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the road ahead is challenging, but I am very certain that Dr. Pramod Sawant is capable leader. he's able to take up all these challenges and walk ahead decisively. One good quality that he possesses is decision making. I don't say that all decisions are correct, but he doesn't linger on any decisions, he doesn't keep anything pending, and he is a decisive leader. So that is a good quality that he possesses, and I am very certain this will come handy when he walks ahead till 27.
Okay, and another thing also, the center is actually is backed in.
It's a double engine center.
It's backed in. So
Yes.
I don't know. Client, last closing statements before I finish. We were searching for you, like you had gone off the.
I could hear you, but probably you couldn't see me. There are 2-3 points. I mean, again, it's not criticism. Like for example, we were talking about allocation for health and everything. From what I read is, there was a ESI hospital proposed in North Goa in the last budget too, and they've announced it again. So my point here is, this didn't happen last time. I hope it happens this time around. That's very important, so that you just don't make announcement, but you implement. Secondly, I like the point that you made. You were talking about incubation centers and everything. The idea is to give knowledge to the local people. You need to set up more government centers, more education centers where they are educated with these kind of things. So that is what I meant by, when I spoke about tourism, is how much more are you doing for the indigenous Goan, the local Goan is very important. And the third point somebody made about, that the government announced some 152 schemes and people should go and make use of it. But the point here is, yes, you announce those schemes, fine, but you have to actually go and tell the people that we have these schemes, come and make use of it. So the important part is you reach out to people. That's more important, that how you reach to the people. Just making announcements does not work. It looks all good on paper, it looks fine on it's like a rosy picture, but you need to go down to the people and make sure these things happen.
Clyde, thanks. We have completely run out of time. I think I have overshot also. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks Siddharth.
Thank you.
Thanks Viray. Thanks.
Thank you so
thanks.
much.
Thanks.
Good being
Thank
here.
you. And we will go back to the assembly now. I don't know what's. And thanks for everything. And hopefully we will be here. Siddharth, we will have a political discussion.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Sorry, I couldn't let you all continue on this.
Can we have them to take a photograph of us?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Goa365.